What is up, everybody? This is James. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so lately I have been reading a book, which I will formally go over in just a moment. And this book is on the Yoruban concept or the Ifa concept of Ori. And Ori, if you know anything about Yoruba ideology or theology, Ori is very important. Ori is the spark that emanates the self, the consciousness, the spirit of the person that communicates with Orisha. So it is seen as your higher self. Ori is seen as your highest divine manifestation in this lifetime. So there was a particular spiritual entity, spiritual circumstance that I think a lot of people suffer from, especially in this modern day and age. And I'll get into that, and I wanted to read a particular passage from this book that speaks specifically on these spirits, and then just kind of have an open-ended conversation with everybody online, and then just see what you guys think of this as well. Personally, I had not heard of this type of spirit or this classification of spirit until I was reading this book. So I'm just gonna jump in. The book is called Inner Peace, the Yoruba Concept of Ori. It says Ifa Theology, Volume 1, here at the top. This is the first book, Inner Peace. And it is written by Awo Falokun Fatumbi, Egbe Ifa Ogunti Odegremo. Okay, so, and then his author information is there on the back. So specifically within Yoruba ideology, you have the obligation to develop your character. What does that mean? That means when you come into a situation, when your life throws you circumstances that bring you into the crossroads, into the Ache of the Orisha Alegba, or Alegwa, as he's also known, you're in a crossroads, an area of opportunity where your life can potentially take many directions. In those crossroads, we rely on our character. And in those moments, there's a very simple advice, and it's when you don't know what to do, do the right thing. And that will steer your character into the development of good character, or Iwapele, as it is also known. So I also wanted to speak, if you've watched any of my videos, or if you know me personally, you know that I have a deep love for the Orisha Alegwa. And in this particular section of the book, it speaks about Eshu Odara and his role in the development of character. So essentially, what the author is saying here is that when we lie to ourselves, or when we subjugate the truth and deny certain things, or our actions are not consistent with what our Ori knows to be true, a unique spiritual circumstance happens to the person. And basically that is when the person, the body, the Ori, is rejecting blessings that are coming to it. So basically what that means is that the Orisha may be giving you a blessing or helping you overcome an obstacle in your path, but your head is not accepting that help, or your head is being counterproductive. So that's to say your Ori, your decision making, your faculties of higher consciousness are working against your benefit. And oftentimes people will come for divination, and the spirit is saying you're fine. For the most part, the circumstance around you is fine, is pleasant, but there is darkness about the person. And in my opinion, that darkness comes from this disconnection with Ori, with this disconnection in character. Oftentimes, we want to live in circumstances, live in relationships, live in situations that are below our vibration and where we should be. So in those moments, then, you rely on your Ori, which is your higher self, which is your divine potential, to show you the rubric for your own personal development. And you begin making decisions and actions that are more consistent with where you would like to be in life. And you let go of these self-destructive, self-defeating ideologies and mentalities that people hold on to and refuse to let go of. And so we're just going to jump right into the section. So this is on page 18. This is in the introduction. I have not yet finished reading this entire book. It just has a wealth of information that's really taking me some time to process. So it says, the purpose of Ifa divination is to illuminate internal conflict in an effort to avoid the disruptive effects of self-destructive behavior. Divination is a problem-solving tool and not a fortune-telling gimmick. Ifa does not make arbitrary predictions. The oracle explains the consequences of specific behavior by explaining the consequences of specific actions. There is nothing magical in telling a person if they sit in a fire, they will get burned. If I could do magic and fix all of your problems, the only result would be you would become dependent on me to resolve conflict in your life. Okay, so I 100% definitely agree on that. I feel a very powerful ebo that a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't do or don't utilize is the easiest one that you can do, and that's to simply change your behavior. So if you're in a situation where stability cannot grow around you, and if you don't know what that means, your life is very turbulent, your life is very stressful, your life is very rocky. That's to say that the energy of peace cannot penetrate your life. And that's because it's not penetrating your heart, because your heart is closed to it. Your ori is closed to it. So you put yourself in reoccurring patterns of behavior where you're doing the same thing and you're getting the same result. And that is, blessings are hard to obtain. And when they come, they're hard to hold on to. And you have, maybe you're obsessed with the thought that people are trying to do war on you, throw spiritual work on you. People are trying to surround your life with darkness and osogbo and misfortune. When in reality, there is nothing coming from an outside source. That disruptive energy's root is in your ori. That disruptive energy's root is in your heart. And so basically this says, to jump back in, Ifa training concerns teaching the skills needed for resolving conflict on your own. Ifa does not breed dependence. It points toward liberation. Avoiding self-destructive behavior eliminates a primary source of conflict in any person's life. Hello. If you're in self-destructive relationships, if you're in self-destructive circumstances, addressing those things, those personal defects that are continuing to make you live in that circumstance, addressing that, letting it go, creating a new life for yourself, one that is more synonymous with your views of happiness, your views of inner peace. Of course, addressing those head on would be the simplest solution here. But oftentimes, we can't do that, and we rely on patterns of behavior that we know are destructive, or patterns of behavior that we know are not serving in our highest good. So it says, resolution of internal conflict makes room for the manifestation of good fortune. To those who do not understand the cause and effect consequences of human behavior, this process appears to be mysterious. The oracle will not tell you how to get what you want. It tells you how to get what you need. If you remain stuck chasing what you want, you will miss the lesson. If you believe divination is inherently magical, you will miss the element of self-transformation in the process. And I think that's very important, and that's exactly it. Ifa gives you information. The Orisha is speaking and they're giving you advice on how to turn your circumstances around for yourself. And that begins with the journey of the self. That begins with the journey of illuminating the self. And in doing so, you bring light into your circumstances and you have a realization. You wake up and you're like, wow, this is not what I deserve. This is not the life that I want to be living. So you put those things down. You let go of those self-destructive behaviors. You let go of those ideologies. You let go of that anxiety. You let go of those anger issues and you address them. And if you can't address them, then at least address them spiritually. So you're bringing them light in the spiritual plane. You're asking your guides, you're asking the Orisha to bring light, to bring empathy, to bring understanding into your heart for yourself. This is all for yourself so that you can become a better person, so that your light is filled with life, so that you wake up in the morning with a smile on your face. That is the purpose of all of this. So we're going to insert a little metaphorical ellipses here and jump down the page. And it says, the realization made me wonder if I could continue to practice a spiritual discipline that consumed my attention for 20 years. This was yet another encounter with Eshu Odara. If I thought I could use magic to avoid transformation, not making use of my training was still avoiding transformation. So Eshu Odara is a very important spirit of self-transformation here, and Eshu comes as a trickster. And Eshu Odara is known to pull the rug out from underneath people's feet. So that's to say, when you're stuck in a rut, when you're stuck in these patterns of self-destructive behavior that you can't let go of, Eshu Odara is the deity, is the Orisha that then comes into your life to disrupt those things. So maybe he brings you some trouble, God, forbidding. But sometimes that's exactly what it takes, the human spirit, to break those chains, to get out of those ways of thinking. And that is exactly the fork in the road that gets us to shift back into our Ori, so that our behaviors become again connected to higher faculties of the mind, higher faculties of the spirit. And they become more self-serving. They become better self-serving at that point. So this is the spirit. We're getting into this section. I just wanted to give some context and also to spread some of the knowledge in this book. Maybe you haven't heard of it. Maybe you find this information useful. I definitely did for the development of my own character, for the expansion of my own Ori. So I'm sure someone out there may also find this information helpful or useful or informative in some capacity. So the spirit, this is what it says about the spirit. And this is the spiritual entity that I feel like affects a lot of people in the modern time. And it says, resistance to change is the source of what Ifa calls Elenini, self-generated demons that have no existence outside our imagination. Real demons are easy to banish because they respond to the power of the word, Ache. Elenini are insidious because they feed on excuses and constantly reconfigure to avoid exposure of their true source. Elenini are classic examples of elemental shapeshifters. They can only be exorcised by taking personal responsibility for bringing them into being. So basically, how I interpret that is Elenini are a spiritual manifestation of our own Ori. So that is when thought forms begin to coalesce. Patterns of thought, begin to coalesce, and they become a spiritual entity, and oftentimes a very negative one for the person. It says, again, to highlight, they're self-generated. So that is your own Ache is giving life to an impediment into your own spiritual progress, people. That's to say that maybe you don't need a cleansing. You don't need a spiritual bath because there's not an entity in this sense a third party external force acting on you. This self-generated demon, the Elenini, is a manifestation of your own negativity. And how do we address that? We begin by looking at our personal defects. We begin by asking our guides, by asking the Orisha, by asking the Egun to bring light back into our hearts, to bring light back into our minds, to bring light back into our circumstances so we can see our circumstances for what they truly are. Then you begin making decisions that are more accurately based on your circumstances. You set goals for yourself and you achieve those goals. That is the development of character. That is the development of good character. It is approaching people with empathy, with compassion. It's embracing people because we all have defects. We all do. And in this particular moment, I'm bringing you this information, but it's in hopes of a conversation that we may have together so that we can all rise as a community of people that are invested in the development of good character, of being there for one another, of being light to each other. So, on that note, let me make sure there wasn't anything else really quickly that I wanted to share from the book specifically. There is some other things, but I think I will have to get into those at a later time. Again, this book is small, but the information in it, the wealth of information contained inside of it is, wow, shakes the soul, shakes the spirit. So yes, so I definitely would like to have deeper conversations on the Elenini. And I think really bringing light to that so people can address that. I've definitely been in misas or gatherings where spirits have come down and they've acted in a very like disgruntled or disruptive manner, and they did not respond to prayer. They did not respond to light. And in those moments, I questioned whether or not that was like a genuine possession or if this person was just like kind of putting on a show. However, there were other things that happened that definitely signaled to me that there was indeed, in fact, the presence of an entity there that we were all addressing. But the entity itself was not responding to the power of prayer. It was not responding to the power of light, of it being forced light. And that kind of leads me to believe, like based on my readings, that what this person may have been experiencing in that moment is an Elenini, is the possession. So in this case, an extreme of that, the Elenini possessing them. So it is a facet of that person's own Ori that has taken them over, taken their faculties over, and is not responding in a traditional way that you would see if it was any other type of typical spirit possession. Pardon me. So I've kind of come to the conclusion now that the Elenini in that sense then has taken this person over, and it's really shifting them back to their self, and that is what will cause an exorcism, if you will, or a lifting of this Elenini, is the person themselves doing work, doing spiritual work that brings light, that brings ire and blessings and fortune back into their life. And that all starts with the opening of Ori so that it is receptive to blessings that are coming in. Because if Ori is not, there is no blessing that can be given to you that you will accept, period. So, and again, like very simply, you speak to your Ori and you tell your Ori, I am open, I am receptive of all blessings that come to me. I walk my path in light. I bring light into my circumstances, and so on and so forth. Positive affirmations to your Ori that is the development of your Ori. And there are also like prayers orikis and things to the ori itself, which all can be done. A classic example of this is a rogación de cabeza. That is a cleaning of the head where certain things are placed on the crown and those things are left overnight. And that is to calm ori back down when ori has become heated, etc. All right, guys, so on that note, I am going to go ahead and end the video. I hope that you are all having a fantastic day wherever this message may find you. I hope that your guides, that your spirits, that your Orisha bring you peace and bring you health and bring you long life. As always, take care of yourself and many blessings. Ache, ache, to.